Disney just blessed us with a trailer for the new upcoming Snow White movie, one of the many live-action remakes that there seems to be squeezing out of their bits these days. And everybody seems to be united in their dislike for the movie, even though it didn't came out yet and none of us seen it. The comment section is full of people who are generally expressing a lot of negativity towards this movie. You may be wondering why the remake of this timeless classic that was watched by generations and generations of people and was the very first full-length movie that Disney released became so disliked by the general public. There were some controversies regarding the casting choice for the main character, along with some buzz created around the dwarves that led Disney to reinvent them a few times and push their release date farther and farther ahead. But the main thing that tanked the movie before it was even released was the actress that was chosen for the role. One golden rule regarding remakes and sequels is that you kind of have to respect the source material. I don't mean you have to actually, copy-paste the whole story, but you have to at least understand why it was successful in the first place and why people loved it in the first place. If you don't respect the source material and if you don't have that understanding of why people loved it, if you also add some bitterness to it and actually imply that you yourself hate it and still participate in remaking process of the movie, then people will find you to be very hypocritical and they will reflect the disdain you have for their beloved source material back at you. It's actually very simple. People are very protective of things they love. If you're making a remake of a movie, then you're assuming that obviously this movie has a fan base because you're trying to, capitalize off this fan base that love the original source, right? And then you're trying to imply that the movie was lesser than what you are creating, and by extent you are kind of implying that, people are not allowed to like it and you are giving them the better version of it. People are gonna be rightfully pissed and they are not gonna wanna watch your movie because there is a reason why people loved it in the first place. And if you're messing around with the idea of the original movie, then people are not going to be too fond of your idea. And by the way, if you disdain the original source so much, why not make another movie? It's just this toxic way of thinking where you are just trying to get the original people who love the movie on board by saying, oh yeah, that thing you loved, well, we are making it. But actually, the thing you loved was bad and we are better and we're gonna make a better thing and you have to support us now because, otherwise you are just being, very close-minded and you are living in another era. And this is essentially what Rachel Zegler did. She tried to promote her new movie by pissing on the original source. And she was surprised that the fans and the people who liked the original weren't on board with that. I mean, duh. So here are some of the comments that she made while trying to promote the movie over time, and I want you to try to figure out why that was a bad PR.
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, we cast a guy in the movie.
I have to pretend oh, God, well, crazy that we're in front of this.
Wait, how often are you in line for the Snow White ride?
I'm a narcissist.
I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that
she's not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
I don't know what to say. And especially the comments about the true love and stalking really get me, and I'm gonna explain why. Disney underwent quite a significant transformation with their movies over the years, but the first movies that Disney was releasing were mainly based around classic fairy tales. And because of the relatively short length of these movies, a lot of things had to be portrayed in a metaphorical way. These movies were kind of like musicals as well, because you had the musical numbers, so there was an element of musical to it. And this is just driving me nuts, man. I mean, look at any freaking musical from nowadays. Do you really see the deep exploration of love or whatever? No, they just sing to each other and they fall in love. Because it's a metaphor. It's not meant to be taken literally. One of my favorite musicals is Moulin Rouge. It was one of the first things that made me cry. And the love between Satine and Christian is not portrayed as, a deep psychological exploration of two people falling in love. They literally happen to be in a situation. She dances for him. He sings for her, and they fall in love. It's literally 3 scenes with them. And, mostly in these scenes, they are singing. This is what musicals are like. I don't get it. Like, okay, nowadays with Disney movies, you don't have that musical element so much anymore. There are some that still have it, but, movies like Inside Out, like, resigned from it completely. But it was a huge thing back then. I mean, Sleeping Beauty, same thing. Like, she meets Guy in the forest and they dance together, and there's a beautiful iconic song playing, and this is supposed to be a symbolism of them falling in love. I mean, I don't get it, how people don't get it. It's just so bizarre for me. And a lot of these things were also coming from the fact that these fairy tales romanticized, like, falling in love at first sight, true love's kiss. These were kind of like tropes that were reoccurring in fairy tales. Hence, Disney took these and put them in a movie format. But anyways, okay. You might say that, playing the devil's advocate, okay, so movie format is different. However, they are still keeping it as a musical. Anyways, moving on to love, right? And how searching for true love is supposed to be some lesser thing than, being ambitious and seeking power. I mean, I find this way of thinking really toxic. I often criticize, like, lack of agencies in female lead when the guy is, they're all about the guy, right? That, they only exist as a person in their relationship to that guy. They don't seem to be kind of developed on their own, and that is a bad thing. But this is just hitting another extreme. So you're saying that, okay, so searching for love is something inferior to, being this, a boss bee. Let's take back our kingdom and all of this stuff. Like, there is a nuance to it. You could be a person who has some ambition and also pursues love. These things are not mutually exclusive. And it seems to be that we are constantly going from one extreme to another. I just don't understand why searching for love is something inferior when most of us absolutely love love. It's one of the most beautiful feelings you can feel. And I'm not only talking about romantic love. I'm talking about love between, parents and children, love between friends. I'm talking about all types of love. I think this is like the beautiful thing to pursue. So why are we all of a sudden turning it into some, that love, it's better to be a boss, and have people underneath you and just be this, be a queen. It's just, I find it really reductive, to be honest with you. And also, if you look at the original Snow White, I've only seen the movie once or twice, so I haven't seen it in a while. But from what I can recall, she was not all about love. Actually, the character of Prince serves more like, kind of like a prop. They obviously have this musical number when they are falling in love, so she kind of like goes out over her sheltered world that she lives in because of her stepmother, and she falls in love with the prince, and it's all beautiful. But then she runs off to forest, and this is where her real story begins. And her real story is not actually about her and the prince. The story is not called Snow White and the Prince, it's called Snow White and 7 Dwarfs. Why? Because she runs off to live with these dwarfs in a cottage, and the relationship between her and these dwarfs is the focal point of the story. And by the end, she's not saved by the prince, she's saved by the dwarfs. He's used as literally a prop to perform a true love's kiss on her. And that true love's kiss is something that comes from the classic fairy tale tropes. It's the reoccurring theme, it's the cliche, right? But Prince himself from what I can remember, he appears in like 2 scenes. He's like in the beginning when he sings with her and we establish that they're in love. And then he's there just to, kiss her and wake her up. And that's it. The rest of the story is her and her relationship with dwarves and her relationship with animals in the forest as well, because these are also her friends. So it's more a story about friendship than love. She's not all about love in the story. I mean, she is, but it's not her love for the prince. It's the love for the dwarves. It's the love for the animals. It's her love and kindness towards a known old lady who offers her an apple and she takes it, right? She's shown to be kind, she's shown to be loving, and that love transforms the lives of dwarves, and she ends up drastically improving their life. And she's not only about love and kindness, she's also about humility, about generosity, about forgiveness, about perseverance, about the value of hard work you're putting into something. All of these values are generally good values, and I'd argue that they are portrayed way more than the love aspect, at least romantic love aspect of the story. And I can't believe I am overanalyzing children's story like that, but I think that this is a part of a bigger trend that bothers me and irks me so much, where we are getting these female characters that are completely devoid of any sort of meaningful emotions. They're all about power, they're all about, the strength, but in a kind of a physical sense. And it almost feels to me, honestly, like, this freaking annoying thing that people sometimes say that, women are more emotional and shit like that. It feels to me that those people who produce these kind of characters kind of internalize this message and are going out of their way to show women to be completely emotionless. However, this is not the way you create a compelling character. And I would even argue it goes the same for male characters too. If we see, for example, let's just say Batman, right? What is so interesting about Batman? The fact that he's rich, he's powerful, that he's strong and handsome? Or is it the fact that he goes through a huge emotional turmoil due to his parents' death that leads him to an endless quest to save the world? I mean, I personally totally disagree with this statement that, women are more emotional. I think we are all emotional, we have emotions, and it's good to have the variety of these emotions. And this is what actually creates a compelling character. It's the contrast between these emotions. It's like, why Mandalorian was so successful. Was it because it was a story about a rogue who travels the whole universe and is kicking butt? Or was it because of this strong dude who has the relationship with this small thing and it's like a space daddy thing? If we create a character that is only about, restoring the kingdom, searching for power and strength, that is one hella boring character. If you give him some nuance, if you give him some, sometimes contrasting motivations, if you create some turmoil in this character's life, emotional turmoil mostly, then obviously this is gonna be a more profound character. Gladiator 2 just came out, and I haven't watched it, but I've seen the first one. Why do you think Maxim was such a compelling character? Was he seeking power? Was he seeking strength? No, he was revenging his family because he loved them dearly. And they were basically killed by the horrible guy that he managed to defeat in the end. And it's a hero's journey, and it's amazing. Take any character, any at all, and you will see that without these emotions, these characters are just plainly flat and boring. And add to it some smack comments from the actress who is basically overly criticizing the original source and the original character, and they think they're so much better at everything. And I'm just tired of these portrayals. And what really annoys me is the fact that they are acting like they are creating something completely unique. Like they are all like, oh my god, we are such a visionaries. We are making Snow White to be a warrior. Hold on a minute, that was already done before, right? No? And in much better way, because she wasn't all about the power and she wasn't all about becoming a leader. She truly is, or whatever this BS is. You didn't do anything new. You're literally doing another reiteration of Snow White and the Huntsman. But now you're calling yourself super duper progressive about it, and it's just embarrassing, man. And I really hope that this Mary Sue era is over, because I'd like to see more nuanced characters again. And I'm just sick and tired of all of these women that are all about power and all about, strength in the most kind of a macho-like sense, you know what I mean? I remember watching a video some time ago where someone made a comment that perfectly encapsulates this trend, and it's like, you would take these most cliche macho dudes that everybody loves to criticize and pop a wig on them, and it's essentially, here it is, we call it today, it's our new female protagonist. And she's so much better just for the sole factor that she's a woman. I mean, no. I think the most compelling characters are the perfect balance of emotions and motivations, and these motivations are deeper than just, oh yeah, I want power because I want power. Even when it comes to villains, I find that the most compelling ones aren't those who are seeking power for the sake of power, but they have some inner motivation for it and some ideology built around it. And you can even take it to the next level and make some elements of that ideology understandable for the audience. So they are kind of questioning whether the villain could be right looking from a certain perspective. Generally, I feel like this nuance is a key factor in creating really interesting characters. And it's such a shame that this nuance seems to be going out of the window these days. And another thing that the new Snow White remake is definitely suffering from is just generally how bad it looks. Like, the CGI is so overblown. It just feels like, honestly, it feels like a fever dream. It's bizarre. It's just really fake. And, the CGI is a very good tool to use, but you need to use it wisely. Otherwise, you're kind of losing the realism. So, for example, why is that the original Lord of the Rings movies looked so much better than, for example, the Hobbit movies, where the Hobbit movies had significant technological advancements, on the other hand, that they could utilize? It's because the CGI was so overused in the Hobbit movies that it actually ended up breaking some of the immersion into the story. And the same goes for the new Snow White remake. The CGI is just so overused, it ends up looking terrible. And the characters, they don't look believable, the locations don't look believable. It all looks like, honestly, like some acid trip. The last aspect I wanted to talk about is just the general sense of lack of creativity at Disney. It seems to be that they are pumping out all of these remakes one by one, instead of creating original stories. It's like they are lacking the creativity and original ideas to create brand new movies that could capture new audiences. And I don't understand it. There are so many creative minds that are just dying to have a chance at that. And they prefer to bank on the existing IPs because they know they come with money from the dedicated audiences. And there is something really cynical about this approach. I kid you not, I recently went on trending page on YouTube and I regret I haven't took a screenshot because honestly, it was crazy. Every single trailer, every single thing that was listed there was either a remake or a sequel, and there was rarely anything original at all. And it's not only limited to Disney. I mean, who asked for How to Train Your Dragon remake when we had the last one released 5 years ago? It's mad. And I feel like people are getting slowly sick of it. I'm gonna make a little prediction here. I feel like Webtoon is gonna be the next big thing that these companies are gonna jump on, because it does come with the dedicated audience, so it is kind of a safe bet, but it still satisfies a need for originality that people express more and more these days, because they are so sick and tired of seeing the same stories rehashed all over and all over and all over again. But we'll see, I guess. So what are your thoughts on the matter? Are you gonna see the new Snow White movie? I'm personally not planning to see it. Same goes for Lilo and Stitch, Mufasa movie, or whatever yesterday's meal Disney is planning to serve us for dinner this time. I do realize that I am not the target audience for these movies, however, I am very fond of the originals, so it's really sad for me to see the original legacies being destroyed like that. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. I am planning to release more videos regarding Webtoon and entertainment as a whole in the future, so if you're interested in this kind of thing, please stay tuned. For now, I wish you a very lovely day, and I'll speak to you later. Bye!